everybody. We are here again. Today we're gonna make a tomato sauce, like a spaghetti sauce, and want to start with, it's very simple. Of course, we're starting with tomatoes from our garden. And I have Mommy here. Mommy, say hi. Some dry basil as well, because I like it with a lot of basil. We have lots of tomatoes here from the garden. We're getting down to the last thing of tomatoes. So I might save a couple of these ones because these are my favorites. We lost one. Mami, me trajes. There's more. Okay, we're gonna put a few garlic cloves, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of oregano. I have some oregano in the freezer, but I'm gonna try today the dry oregano. I have some more basil here. And then I'm gonna try like the Tuscan Herbs olive oil, but you can certainly use any olive oil. But I'm just gonna do a little bit. I know some people like to use a lot of olive oil, but we're trying to, keep it not so more vegetables and less fat. So we're gonna do a little bit of this oil that I found in the farmers market. All right. So the first thing I always do, and then we're gonna use a little tomato paste, because I keep hearing that the tomato paste is really what makes the sauce a little more thick, okay, thickens it up. All right, so I'm gonna start with, Mommy, a little bit of the onions, or you want me to do it? Yes. I do it all in big chunks, because usually I can, once it cools off the sauce, I'm gonna put it in the crock pot too. Because that way, and this is why we're starting early, because I'm gonna do this today so that we can have some tonight. So I'm just gonna take the skin off, and then just big chunks of the onions, I'm gonna put them in there, in the crock pot. I love the crock pot because it really, it's such a, hi Andrea, it's so good to see you. I'm starting it early, so hopefully I get some people from Romania to watch it. Let me get another knife, because Mamita has my other knife. So really I just put it in big chunks like this, big chunks into the, oopsie, I'm dropping things off here. I gonna do the basil, all the basil that I have in here. Again, the more basil the better. So I always like to, this is also, I'm getting down to the wire with basil. I just bought a plant to see if it survived inside my home during this winter coming up. So I have more onions here, and then I'm gonna throw, so this is the easy part, because it's so nice just to put it all in that pot and have it cooked. And like 4 or 5 hours is enough. You could do, sometimes I leave them all night in the crock pot and low. So really, that's the beauty of this pot, that you can do it, you could do it as much or as little as you want. So I think we need about, I would say 4 garlic cloves or more. I like a lot of garlic too. So you can make it, depending on how garlicky or how much oniony you want it. So this is how I, instead of adding a lot of salt, a lot of oils, I just add a lot of the other flavors that we can add that add nutrition and not so much salt. And you can add all the herbs too, of course. But I love to put a lot of onion. So I think we did the whole entire onion. Okay, so we did 1 onion. And I'll put this recipe later today too, tonight, once I put it in. Yeah. I think I have all we're gonna do a little bit of the onion, garlic, and then I'll just put them whole in there. I might cut the garlic into a few pieces. Hi Kelsey, how are you? My sweet neighbor. So we are going to put a little, I know it's not the time that I usually come on, but since I'm gonna do this now, I figure why not put it in there, and then people can always watch it later. So I just doing this big garlic and cut into a few chunks, put it in there too. And while my mom is getting me more garlic, because I love lots of garlic, I'm gonna start just cutting in half or quarters these tomatoes that are absolutely fabulous. So I just cut them in pieces and throw them in there, and it goes really fast. I cannot, this is the tomatoes we grew at home, and they don't get any bigger than these. So between these two sizes, the best tomatoes ever. These are great in sandwiches, sauces, you name it. I'll have to ask Bob what the names, because he orders the plants for me, and they already, we plant them from about this high, so the plants already come already grown a little bit. And oh, these tomatoes are unbelievable. I mean, look at how gorgeous they look, and the size I think is perfect. I love to you know, just sometimes I just pop them in just like that. Unbelievable. And I like to put a little bit of balsamic vinegar in them. It's wonderful. So I'm just gonna get cutting them here in pieces, and I don't take anything out of it really, because I'm going to blend them once the sauce is done, you know, after 4 or 5 hours. Today, because it's only 1 o'clock, I'll probably put it until 6 or so, and then we'll let it cool a little bit. But we can actually go in. So I'm just doing like quarters like this. I'm just cutting them into quarters, okay? Into quarters, and just throw them in there. So this is super easy, and it just makes, and whatever is left over, I freeze it. And then nothing like in the winter coming out and finding this amazing sauce in your freezer that really still has the flavors of summer. I love that. If they're little, I'm just cutting them in half. Mommy's giving me more garlic here, so I'm gonna throw in a few more garlic pieces. Mommy, not all of it, okay? Only like about 5, 6 garlics, maybe. So we have about 5 or 6 garlic cloves, and I'm just cutting them in like maybe 4 pieces if you need to. But again, I'm gonna blend everything at the end. I'm gonna keep cutting tomatoes in half and quarters, depending on their size. These, if you're my neighbor, you have tried my tomatoes. Kelsey, have you had the tomatoes from our home? I'll sell you a couple if you haven't had any yet this summer, because I know if you're our neighbor, we'll always share our tomatoes with our neighbors. It's great. So I'm gonna keep on chopping. Mami, I think that's enough, no? How many have you done? How many garlic? ¿Cuánto garlic le has puesto? Lo voy a decir en español.
Como 5.
5 clavos de ajo, una cebolla blanca le puse, pero puede ser de cualquiera, y todos estos tomates que son chiquitos, y otro bowl así pequeño. Me imagino que eso será como 2 kilos por ahí de tomates, pero entre más tomates mejor, ¿no? Así que aquí cortamos más ajo. We're gonna cut more garlic. So we have about 6 garlic cloves. I try not to waste anything, so I really don't cut much of it, unless there is a little part that I don't want. But for the most part, I can, these tomatoes, you can put the whole thing pretty much. I don't cut anything from them, okay? So, more tomatoes into the crock pot. You can also do them in the, in a pot for many hours at very, very low. Hi, Florina. So good to see you. You can also do them in a pot on the stovetop. Some people also like to cook the onions before and the garlic a little bit and roast them, and that adds a little more, a nice roasted flavor. So that's also possible. Here, Mommy, you can help me cut some tomatoes too. And but I, you know, I am busy, so I, for the most part, just don't roast it. But you can roast the tomatoes too. You can roast them. You can roast the onions and then the garlic as well, and that adds, you know, nice. That adds a great robust flavor as well. There's some tomatoes here that are still kind of orangey, not as red, so I'm gonna let some of those ripe by itself here, because we heard there was gonna be a frost, so we ended up trying to pick all the tomatoes we could that were almost ready. So this one still looks like it could be a little more. And then of course I always like to keep a few for my sandwiches and my salads as well. So let me see if you see any more in here that we can, maybe all these little ones. These little tomatoes, these little orange tomatoes are the best. I could eat bowls of it. You have no idea. These little orange ones, I don't know what they call. I have to ask Bob again. But we grow about 4 plants of them. See, they're orange and they're little. They're great in salads. I love them. Hi, Raquel. Oh, I love you. Mommy, say hi to Raquel.
Raquel is there. Raquel.
Raquel de Florida. Hola, Raquel.
¿Dónde está?
Raquel, no.
Oh.
Anyways, these little tomatoes are amazing. So, while my mom is cutting a few more tomatoes that are ready, I'm going to add a little olive oil. And I see that somebody was using it and did not clean it. There's oil all over the bottle. That's okay. I guess that says that we have a busy kitchen here. So I'm gonna put about, I would say maybe a couple of tablespoons of the oil. And like I say, this is a Tuscan herb olive oil. But again, any olive oil would be fine. So I'm just gonna put about a couple tablespoons. I've been cooking so long that I can eyeball these things so easily. But and then I'm gonna add a little bit more basil, like about maybe about a couple teaspoons of these. Okay, a couple of teaspoons of more basil because I like it a lot of basil. And this is the dry basil. And then I'm gonna, it smells good. I also have some oregano here too. I'm gonna put also about a couple of teaspoons of oregano into it. Again, I can eyeball these things. And I see some Italian blend. Probably has the same things, but what the heck, we can use that Italian blend. This is like what I call Italian seasoning for another couple of teaspoons as well, okay? Let's do that. And a little bit of the salt, maybe just a teeny bit of salt. I have a couple of teaspoons of salt. Again, I think it has plenty of of other herbs, but I keep this little teaspoon. I bought this little cute thing from Peru, and it's probably less than a teaspoon, but it makes me feel that that way I don't overuse salt if I need some salt. But really, I think all these spices don't even need salt. I think with the basil, the oregano, and the Italian seasoning is plenty of seasonings. So we're here cutting more tomatoes. Mommy, let me put this. Cutting all these tomatoes from the yard. I want to make sure we put them to good use. So I'm putting more. Like I say, that's about a few pounds of tomatoes in there, but it doesn't matter. I think anything goes. It's like a soup, okay? So this is wonderful. So we have a few more tomatoes to go. The other ones we're gonna let them ripe, huh, Mommy? We're gonna let them ripe because these ones probably need a little bit. What do you think? It needs a little bit more. And you say there's a few more tomatoes outside still in the plants? Yeah, well, I heard this week is going to be great. Or next week is going to be a frost. So we want to make sure that we try to get as many tomatoes as possible. But from this pot, I will probably get, here is what it looks like, okay? So I have the pot, I put the onions, the garlic, the tomatoes, some olive oil, and then the spices, oregano, basil. I also put some fresh basil, but also some dry basil as well. All right? So, Mommy, let's put those, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna put it back in the pot. This is a crock pot. And we can then, this is the last of the tomatoes. So it's not quite all the way to the top of this. This is like, I think, a 6-quart. So it's not quite to the top, but I say 3/4 full with tomatoes. And then the 1 onion in the bottom, 5 to 6 garlic cloves chopped, basil, and then the dry spices. And then I'm going to close the lid. I love this. And I know I'm a big fan of the crock. I never knew what the crock pot was because, you know, I didn't grow up here. I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna show that everything is closed in here. I'm just using the crock pot, so that's what they call the slow cooker. And so I'm gonna put it for 5 hours. I'm gonna put it for 6 because Bob is probably, he's coming later tonight. So I'm gonna put it for 6 hours, and then, I'm gonna put start, and that's it. And then I'll check it in about a few hours. And before dinner, I'll scoop some. I could make soups from these sauce. I can make, you know, tomato sauce. Oh, I forgot the tomato paste. Mommy, where's the tomato paste? The tomato paste that we put yesterday in the freezer. We usually, when we open a can of tomato paste, we like to freeze the leftovers so nothing goes to waste. Nothing goes to waste. And I think we opened up 1 can. Isn't it yesterday?
We don't use tomato paste yesterday. With tomatoes.
For the beans.
Yeah, but it was tomato sauce. Here is the tomato paste.
Okay, the tomato paste. So we're gonna use maybe what, about a half of a can? So I'm gonna open this can tomato paste. Doesn't matter what brand, again, you know, but I heard that this is really what gives the sauce a really nice thickness. So I'm going to add a few tablespoons from these. Okay. Well, here's our tomato paste. I'm gonna open this up a little bit.
But that's not a tablespoon.
No, that's a teaspoon. You're right. So I'm just gonna pretend that's a tablespoon. So I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons. What do you think, Mommy?
Okay.
Yeah.
You can add as much as you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but I think this is what gives them a nice little thickness. And the tomatoes have so much water that they don't really need to have, you know, more water added. But you can add a little bit of broth if you want. But but really, this is something that the tomatoes are so liquidy. That you don't. So I'm gonna add about half a can. Okay, so I put it about half a can of the tomato paste. Okay. Great. So there we have it now. With the tomato paste. Raquelita, thank you. You have a blessed day too. We love you. So here's our sauce. We're gonna put it here again and close it up. And it's still going, so we'll check it out in a few hours. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon. See you later tonight with the meal. We love you. Kisses and hugs. Abrazos y besos a todos. Nos vemos. Adiós.